PHI 209. You're welcome to study session 2. Branches of philosophy. In this study session, we will discuss the various branches of philosophy. There are many arms of philosophy, but we have selected the 4 cardinal areas, which are epistemology, metaphysics, ethics, and logic. When you have studied this session, you should be able to discuss the following areas of philosophy: epistemology, metaphysics, ethics, and logic. Epistemology. This simply means the theory or study of knowledge. It is derived from the combination of 2 Greek words, episteme, which means knowledge, and logos, meaning theory. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy which investigates the scope, source, and limitations of human knowledge. According to Joseph Omoregbe, epistemology studies the nature, the origin, the foundation, the method, the validity, the extent, and the limit of human knowledge. This definition encapsulates the entire nature of epistemology, including the act of justification of knowledge, which is central to epistemology. How do we know, and how can we know that we know? Is there certitude to our claims to knowledge? In the works of John Kakis, epistemology is more of a theory of justification than that of knowledge. What this assertion shows is that when we do epistemology, we are constantly seeking to justify our knowledge claims, and justification is that aspect of knowledge that is indisputable. This fact of justification attests to the numerous theories of justification, such as foundationalism, coherentism, contextualism, and more recently, the internalist and externalist theories of justification. Epistemology tries to discover what knowledge truly is, as different from mere opinion or belief. Aristotle opines that every man wants to know. This statement of Aristotle is a pointer to man's desire to know. As a discipline, epistemology asks questions such as: what is the nature of human knowledge? What is the relationship between knowledge and belief? Is the human mind capable of knowing? What is truth? How do we know that the physical world exists? What is the relation between knowledge and reality? There are 2 traditional orientations as regards our sources of knowledge. There are rationalism and empiricism. The former claims that our knowledge is derived from reason. Empiricism, on the other hand, says that sense experience is the ultimate source of our knowledge. Based on this, we can ask that if our knowledge is dependent on experience, how can we then achieve the absolute certainty that we claim to have in the realms of mathematics and logic? The distinctions usually made in epistemology include those among knowledge, belief, opinion a priori, a posteriori, analytic and synthetic proposition, which are concepts in rationalism and empiricism and theories of truth. Ethics. Ethics or moral philosophy, as it is, sometimes referred to concerns the questions of right or wrong in human behavior. How should we behave, and what makes certain kinds of behavior right and others wrong? Hence, ethics is the set of principles guiding human action or conduct. It is a branch of philosophy which deals with questions and moral values and value judgments in human affairs. Aside the idea of ethics, in the philosophical parlance, ethics can also refer to certain codes of conduct. For instance, Civil Service Code of Conduct. This means certain rules and principles guiding civil service, to whom a breach of such ethics can lead to either summary, dismissal, or punishment depending on the degree. In other instances, however, ethics is such some etiquette or rules through which human beings control their lives. Ethics in philosophy is the systematic study of human conduct, actions, from the point of view of their rightness or wrongness. As a means towards achieving ultimate happiness, etymologically, the word ethics is gotten from the Greek ethos, which means custom or character. Socrates is said to be the first to systematize the discipline. He says, "An unexamined life is not worth living." Socrates was very critical of human behavior. He opines that ethics is the science of human conduct. The three traditional branches of ethics are: 1. Normative or prescriptive ethics. This arm of ethics has to do with how people ought to behave. As the name implies, it prescribes norms and principles that regulate human conduct and actions. It is often explained as a way of contrasting it with descriptive ethics. This branch of ethics says something about what ought to be the case rather than what is the case. For example, while normative ethics will tell us how people ought to behave, that is, the ideal thing to do, descriptive ethics concerns how people actually behave. 2. Descriptive ethics. This has to do with how things are. It is concerned with sociological and psychological claims about how people do in fact behave or about what people value. It is often explained as a way of contrasting it with descriptive ethics. It says something about what it is, rather than what ought to be. 3. Metaethics. This arm of ethics deals with the analysis of the logic of moral reasoning. It also analyzes the language and meaning of ethical concepts like ought, good, right, wrong, and so on, as they are used in ethical statements. Metaethics aims at clarifying the meaning and force of such statements and the conditions under which it is appropriate to make them. For example, normative ethics will ask, "It is wrong to tell a lie." Metaethics will analyze thus, what does it mean to say it is wrong to tell a lie, and how could someone argue for or against that belief? Ethics is different from morality. Morality is the conventionally approved rules of behavior in the society. Ethics is the study of morality. Ethics is the philosophical thinking or systematic study of morality, moral problems, and moral judgments. Morality is the basis of ethics. It provides the raw materials or data for ethics to work on. Ethics, therefore, presupposes morality. It is the systematic study of and reflection on the basic principles of morality. It is important to note that the study of ethics has given birth to more fields of ethics like bioethics. This is the ethics of life that examines the advances in the life sciences with the aim of regulating such advancements. Environmental ethics. This examines the moral basis of environmental responsibility. It studies the ethical relationship between human beings and the environment. Business ethics. This has to do with the kind of behavior a business adheres to in both how the business interacts with the world at large and also to their one-on-one dealing with a single customer. Ethics is indeed one of the key branches of philosophy. Aesthetics, which is the study of the appreciation of beauty and works of art, like sculpture, painting, drawing, graphics, landscape, dance, music, and so on, could be said to be twin sister of ethics. Metaphysics. Metaphysics is the study of the first principle, or ultimate reality. It is also known as the theory of being. The prefix meta means beyond, that is, beyond or after physics. Ta meta, ta physica biblia, is the Greek word for metaphysics, given by an ancient editor, Andronicus of Rhodes, to a collection of Aristotle's essays, which Aristotle had called first philosophy. Hence, metaphysics refers to the subject matter beyond physical nature, or beyond things we can see. It is the only science that deals with the study of the basic and fundamental issues of the universe. Metaphysics inquire into issues of life which people usually take for granted. For instance, the existence of God, existence of the soul, and the question of what reality is composed of and what there is in the world. Metaphysics, therefore, studies the totality of things in the universe, both the possible and the real, the visible and the invisible. It is a general study of existence and reality. It is important to note that even though Aristotle is regarded as the founding father of metaphysics, as science of reality, he, however, was not the first to raise metaphysical problems. As an intellectual enterprise, metaphysics originated in the heyday of the pre-Socratic philosophers like Thales of Miletus, Anaximander and Anaximenes, as well as Parmenides, Pythagoras, and Heraclitus. All these philosophers concerned themselves with finding the ultimate constitutive element and grounds for the unity of things. Metaphysics raises questions like, why is there something rather than nothing? What is reality? Is reality one or many? Is my will free or determined? What is the problem of evil? Is the universe self-caused, or does it involve the concept of a creator? What is mind? Do persons have mind distinct from their bodies? A deeper examination of all these questions will reveal that their answers goes beyond the boundaries of our experience. This is what makes them metaphysical. Metaphysics is further divided into two categories. Ontology. This deals with the ultimate problems of being and reality. What is reality? What is the nature of being? This is further divided into various theories of being, like monism, pluralism, theism, deism, pantheism, and so on. Cosmology. This is the study of the physical world or universe. Logic. The word logic is derived from the Greek logos, which means study, word, or discourse. It deals with the nature of arguments, that is, the basic structure of good reasoning. Logic is the study of the criteria of differentiating correct from incorrect arguments. Argument, on the other hand, is a group of propositions which makes claim about something. For a proposition to qualify as an argument, it must have premise and conclusion. Argument can also be either deductive or inductive. Deductive argument is that which the conclusion follows from its premises with absolute necessity or certainty. Deduction moves from general to the specific, that is, deducting from a proposition describing a condition that holds in all instances to a particular instance. An argument can also be valid or invalid. Valid argument means that if the premises are true, then the conclusion must be true. That is, the premises logically imply the conclusion. It is impossible in a valid argument to have a false conclusion when all the premises are true. Invalid argument, on the other hand, means that it is possible for the conclusion to be false even if the premise is true. Here, the premise does not entail the conclusion. Example of deductive arguments are: Example 1. Premise 1. All women are mortal. Premise 2. Bolanle is a woman. Conclusion: therefore Bolanle is mortal. Example 2. Premise 1. Tamuno is an agonistic. Conclusion: therefore Tamuno suspends judgment about the existence of God. Example 3. Premise 1. If John gets a rise, then he will buy a house. Premise 2. If John buys a house, he will run for a position on the neighborhood council. Conclusion: therefore, if John gets a rise, he will run for a position on the neighborhood council. These examples above are deductive, valid. This is because the relationship between the premise and the conclusion is such that the truth of the premise guarantees the truth of the conclusion. Inductive argument, on the other hand, is one in which the premise does not lead to the conclusion with certainty. Inductive is based on probability. There are 5 degrees of support identified by Thomas that a premise can give to a conclusion to make it probable or like. They are nil, weak, moderate, strong, and deductive valid. Example of an inductive argument. Example 4. Premise 1. Bruce gets drunk most of the time. Premise 2. Yesterday he was drunk. Premise 3. Therefore he will be drunk today. Example 5. Premise 1. Sule refuses to eat his food. Conclusion: therefore he is not hungry. In the 2 arguments, the conclusion does not follow from the premises. In the first example, the fact that Bruce gets drunk most of the time does not mean that we can conclude with certainty that Bruce will be drunk today. Today may just be an exception from his drunken habits. In the second example, even though hunger is one of the reasons, Sule may not have eaten his food. It is, however, not the only reason to have made such conclusion. Other reasons could be that Sule is sick, or maybe he is fasting. It could even be that he does not like the food offered to him. So these arguments are inductive because the support which the premise gives to the conclusion is weak. It is apposite to emphasize at this juncture that the study of philosophy is not limited to the branches examined. Some of the other arms are history of philosophy, social and political philosophy, African philosophy, phenomenology, hermeneutics, and existentialism, philosophy of mind, among a host of others. More importantly, you should bear in mind that there is no clear-cut demarcation between all these branches of philosophy highlighted. There is interconnectedness among them that brings about some overlaps when you attempt to answer a question that seemingly belongs to one aspect of philosophy. Study session summary. In this study session, we examine the way in which philosophy has been divided, but with emphasis on the core areas which were identified as epistemology, ethics, metaphysics, and logic. It is pertinent to note that aspects of each branch of philosophy can be studied in isolation, but philosophical questions have a way of leading to further philosophical questions, so much that an adequate study of a particular problem may eventually encompass the whole of the philosophical enterprise. We have now come to the end of study session 2. Thanks for listening.